Welcome to Holding Space with Authentically Amy. This is a place where you don't have to perform, prove, or hold it all together. You're allowed to exhale, to feel, to speak, or just be. Here, your truth is safe, your emotions are honored, and your soul is gently invited to the surface. I'm not here to fix you because I don't believe you're broken. I believe your soul already knows the way. My role isn't to give you advice, but to hold a steady frequency of love so you have space to rise. This podcast is an extension of my own healing. If you're here, you belong, and I'm honored to sit beside you. Welcome to another episode of Holding Space with Authentically Amy. I'm your host, Amy Thurman, and I'm so grateful you're here. You guys are sharing these episodes. You're loving this, and I'm just so glad. Keep sharing them. We need to keep getting these messages out to the world. So thanks for tagging along for this episode as well. Today, I'm excited to welcome Adaku to join us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to learn more about you. And, as you know, I'm here to hold space for you. So whatever feels heavy on your heart that you might want to talk about today, I'm here to hold space for that. So I'll just turn it over to you and we'll go from there.
Thank you. The question, what feels heavy on my heart? The thing that's most present is that I am planning on moving from Mexico to Dubai. And those two places are completely polar opposite places. And it's challenging me and it feels scary. And I don't think I felt this scared in a long time. But there's a little bit of excitement there too. And I've been kind of woo-sawing my way through the process, and everyone's telling me I'm going to be fine, but in the moment it doesn't feel like I'm going to be fine. It feels like the city's going to chew me up and spit me out, but yes.
Oh my gosh. I love that you shared this because I feel like people can relate to this feeling, not moving from like you're moving, but just the feeling of the uncertainty, it's going to chew me up and spit me out. That was perfect. Like I just totally have felt that before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that a lot of people feel. And so I think it's normal to feel that. Mm-hmm. But I am curious, what part of it concerns you the most? It feels like to me, it feels like you're a little bit overwhelmed. And I think you said that, but what part of it concerns you the most?
Yeah, so we were talking before we went live about the fact that I'm here with my family. I'm one of 7 children, so I come from a large kind of immediate family. And I moved to Mexico kind of by accident. I went there on vacation during the pandemic, and the community there really pulled me in because everyone's an expat and it's a small beach town. You kind of get given a warm embrace into the community, and it just feels like you found your second family. So Dubai feels like, Tulum is 40,000 people, and Dubai is, I think, 10 million people, and it's growing daily. So it just seems so vast that I'm like, where do I even start with cultivating those connections? And it's the first time that I'm going intentionally to a new city where I don't know too many people, the connections aren't strong, and from someone that's used to having closeness and family-like relationships, it just feels it feels a lot to maneuver and kind of work my way through. But yeah, I know a few people there, so that I'm not going completely cold. So, but that's a main concern. Like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't feel isolated there, just because I wouldn't know where to start with connecting with people.
Yeah. So it's the fear behind that, and I can see it. I can see it in your body. I can see the fear, responding in your body. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just making an observation. But so the fear is the fear that you're not going to be able to do it, or that maybe the people won't understand you there. Like, is the fear with you, your ability to do it yourself?
Yeah, it's more on me. I kind of identify as an introvert. So I'm like, I'm going to really have to operate outside of my comfort zone. My word for the year is visibility. So careful what you wish for. I'm giving the power. perfect opportunity to be visible and show up and be seen, and that's the only way I'm going to make connections. Whereas in Tulum, you kind of go to the cafe or you go to the supermarket and everyone's so warm, they'll like walk up to you and talk to you and pull you in. I think this is going to be different. I'm going to have to be a little bit more proactive about like taking up interest and talking to people when I go to those spaces and not being so shy. So it's more around me and being out of my comfort zone.
Yes, yes. That realization right there is gold. I mean, it really is that you just understand that you are an introvert, yeah, and this is uncomfortable, but look what you're doing. Like you're stepping into it, you're going for it, you're not letting that uncomfortable hold you back, which is what happens so often in our lives. When something gets uncomfortable, we step back and we pull our toe back. You know, we don't want to get into that because it's uncomfortable, but I mean, I want to commend you for embracing that. It's already uncomfortable. You know it's going to be uncomfortable, but you're doing it anyway. And that in and of itself is a beautiful thing. Like I want to celebrate you for just being willing to do that. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. And I sense that you have been in a position before where you have had to, kind of take a step to get to know people or just not stay in your bubble. You know what I mean? Where you have to step out. Because I'm an introvert too. I have my bubble, I have my nest, I'm good. I don't need, all this other stuff. But that sometimes as introverts, we have to do that. We have to consciously make that decision. And I mean, in your life, have you had to do that before, where you've had to step out of your bubble and meet new people and interact in that way?
Yeah, in different ways, not moving to a completely new country, but
Sure.
for sure,
Yeah.
in many different ways. What has been good for me is being the eldest girl in my family. So I've always had this pressure that I have to lead by example or show my siblings what was possible, especially because we didn't grow up in a privileged community. There was a lot of like drugs and underage pregnancy and all of the things. So I was like, not my siblings, they're not. And if I want that for them, I have to lead the way and show them that there's a life outside this bubble that we're growing up in. So that role and that desire and that passion kind of forced me to put myself in places. And I've run a business before. I've grown it to a significant size, and I couldn't do that if I wasn't putting myself out there. But it's always scary. It doesn't get less scary regardless of what the action is. But yeah, I've definitely, I think that's probably why a lot of people in my life are kind of they're amusing me. I kind of want them to acknowledge and sympathize with where I am, but they're like, oh gosh, you've got this, you'll be fine. Because I guess they're going by the previous track record where I'm like, right now I feel like a little pussycat that is, yeah, but I'm there's no turning back. I don't have a plan B. I don't want to, I've committed to that plan and I'm going to go through with it regardless of the fear. So
I love that. I love that. And it, like you were talking about those other people, it proves that you can do it because you have done it before. So you have the skill, you know how to do it. This is just a completely different setting. And so that was the thing that I was thinking, like you have done this before, surely in other settings. This is just taking the same skill set that you have and using it in a different setting, different culture, different environment. I know it's all different, but it's the same skill set. And something that came to me when you were talking was that it sounds like you have been doing that for other people or for the benefit of other people. You talked about doing it for your siblings, but have you ever thought about this? This is for you, like this, you're moving yourself by yourself across, to this other country, and that this is going to have to be for you, not for someone else. Because I know, especially as women, that we tend to put ourselves last and we don't really think about, am I doing this for me or am I doing this for other people? So I'm just curious, where that lands with you.
yeah, I would say since moving to Mexico, I've been making decisions for myself to break the pattern of prioritizing everyone else. So yeah, I think that this It's definitely the reason I'm leaving Tulum is because I've had 5 years of 5.5 years of deep rest and slowing down and not really working. And now I want to grow my business and kind of be around people who are inspiring and creating things. And I know that Dubai, there's a lot of that energy in Dubai. So it's a very intentional decision for the next phase of life that I'm stepping into. And yeah, it is focused more on me. This doesn't affect anyone in my life. All my siblings have got children and husbands, and so they're living their own lives, and I'm not carrying too much of a burden to make decisions for them because of them.
Yeah, yeah. So you've already unpacked a lot. I mean, you've spent 5 years doing this, unpacking yourself and what you need and who you are and how to do things for yourself, really focusing on yourself. We're taught that that's selfish, but it's not. It's beautiful. Like it's a necessary step along the path of getting us where we want to be in life. And when you were talking, I had this vision of these stepping stones that was one of the stepping stones along your path, and that Dubai is just the next step on your path, that you've done a
Mm-hmm.
lot of internal work and you're just moving to the next step along that path. And it's just so beautiful. I have friends who have lived in Dubai, and I will tell you that they constantly encourage me to move there. Like they
Mm-hmm.
talk about how the culture and the society and the people are just like you have described the place that you're coming from. That's how they describe the people that in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's different, a different culture, but from people who have lived there, I just wanted to share with you that they have given me rave reviews about living there as well. So,
Yeah, it's interesting. I was having this conversation, I think with my sister yesterday. I just came from Dubai, and I came to London from Dubai because I went to start my visa process. And even though I'm scared, the friends that I do have there are so happy. They're like, I love my life here. I'm so happy. It's taken a while to integrate with me. I think maybe when I go and I create my own life, it will integrate. But one thing I did that I shouldn't have done is that I watched a lot of stories or people sharing their experience online. And it seems that the people that didn't have a great time were the ones online sharing
yeah.
that they felt isolated. And so it kind of fed into my fear. And I didn't see any evidence of that. Everyone was so helpful. Everyone was so encouraging. Everyone was so warm when I got there. But it just feels, it's clearly just something I'm creating in my head as like, oh my gosh, it's still an unknown and I'm just visiting and I don't live here yet. So I don't know whether it'll be different when I live here. But yeah, I the same as you. I've spoken to people who absolutely love it there. I don't think I know one person that hates their experience there or dislikes it in any way. So yeah.
Yeah, our brains, it's that primal brain, I think. Our brains want to create a story that makes sense to us, and our brains are wired to protect us. So our brains are going to create those stories of fear in a way that's trying to protect us.
Mm-hmm.
And all I talk a lot about emotions, and really all emotions boil down to either fear or love. And we can operate in one of the two, fear or love. And if we don't want to live in fear, then we have to understand where the fear is coming from and turn it into coming at it from a place of love. And it sounds like you're working on that you're in the process of doing that.
Yes, slowly but surely. I'm feeling more and more
Yeah.
grounded, but not quite there yet. But
Yeah. Well, it's so beautiful. I just, again, want to applaud you and commend you for taking this huge step and doing what's best for you. And, I think people listening and watching need to really hear this, that this is what you want. This is what your intuition, your inner knowing, this is what it's telling you to do, is to move across the country, to this whole new culture, to grow this business that you're so passionate about, and that you're listening and that you're doing it. And so often we let fear hold us back, and
mm-hmm.
because of the unknown, so many unknowns. But what if, there is still that, what if we don't let it hold us back and we do it anyway? And it becomes the most beautiful thing that you can even imagine. We don't often stop to think about the what if. And I love that you're doing that.
Thank you. Yes, it's not easy, but I guess after I'm turning 40 this year, so after years and years of seeing that everything always works out, you kind of trust and you move towards the unknown regardless of the fear, and you just know that this is a phase and you'll get on the other side of it. So that's kind of what's keeping me going. There is an excitement of, I can't wait until I fully ground into this and I'm into my routine out there, and I can see that I can create whatever experience I want to create. So,
It's so true. You can. And I have heard it said that nervousness and excitement are on the same frequency, like they vibrate at the same frequency. So it's the same feeling. It's just how we tend to perceive it. Do we perceive it as being scared or nervous, or do we perceive it as being excited? And I love that you're choosing to see it as excitement, still acknowledging that there's some nervousness there, but that you're also acknowledging the excitement about it too. And I think, really embracing that and stepping in and owning that piece is beautiful. So really, really good. Yeah. Well, oh my gosh, it gives me hope. Like I'm from a small town in Oklahoma. I have grew up in Oklahoma and have lived here my whole life. I have traveled quite a bit, but, never moved out of the state of Oklahoma. And I just, my heart is just stirring like, oh, that sounds so fun, to me, like, just
you
go
should
out and,
come.
yeah, explore and just see the different things. And, I did travel to London. I have been to London and I spoke at the University of Oxford.
Nice.
And, being from the US and going over there was like so different, just, not a lot different, but different enough that I noticed. And I just thought that was really cool just to experience the difference and to get to know the culture and the different people. And they drive on the other side of the
Other
street.
side.
I almost got run
Yeah.
over, because I was looking the wrong way, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's something to that. And I think so many of us hold ourselves back. We allow that fear and uncertainty to hold ourselves back, but that we're meant to experience joy. I really, really believe that we didn't come here to suffer. We came here to experience joy and to live our purpose and step into it and, embrace the unknown and the uncertainty and see what it can become. And I'm sure that has to feel good too in some ways.
It does. I think that one of our human needs is growth. So, it's like whenever we're stepping to the edge of our comfort zone or doing something we haven't done, our brain is like, we don't know what to do with all this unknown data. So the fear is natural, and I'm embracing it, and I know that it's just a phase. It feels real in the moment because the emotions kind of flood my body, but yeah, I know it's just a period of time. So I'm looking forward to maybe getting back to Tulum and enjoying the last bit of it before I leave, and going to the
Yeah.
beach and being with my friends and wrapping that chapter up and going into the new chapter completely complete.
Hmm. That's so beautiful. I keep saying that because that's just like, I love this so much. Like it just warms my heart. I can tell that you have done a lot of internal work and that you know a lot about, the psyche and the human body and how we work. And I'm eager to find out, what it is you do and how you help people. If you don't mind to share a little bit about that.
Sure. So yeah, I've been meditating since I was 8 years old. My mum came into, I guess, she came into knowledge of a Christian mystic called Joel Goldsmith, and his teachings were all around the kingdom of God exists within us, and the way to access it is through silence. So we would meditate before we ate, meditate before we left the house. We would have quiet days on Sundays where we weren't allowed to talk until 12 o'clock. So that kind of taught us to be self-reflective, and certain questions we would ask my mum wouldn't answer, and she would say, take it to meditation. So she taught us to really kind of trust in our relationship with God and to kind of tune into inner guidance and to really kind of contemplate on things and make the decisions from what comes within, which is how I've learned not to kind of ignore that intuitive push instead of, because when I do, things just tend to explode until I take heed. So I don't want any problems. Like, loud and clear, I've heard I'm acting. But yeah, I think that kind of really helped. We had a really challenging childhood. I was born in Nigeria, moved to the UK when I was 6 years old, and we went from being in a really abundant family to struggling because my mum went from being in her community to being alone with three children, pregnant with her fourth, and then her and my dad divorced, and she met my stepfather and they got married, and he became schizophrenic 3 months after. So immediately, yeah, I kind of stepped into the mum role. And I think that I didn't realize, but when they say your pain becomes your purpose, as the eldest girl, I fell into that fully parentified role where I was raising my siblings, I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was doing my homework, I was helping them with their homework. So I wrote my childhood off, and that started to really impact me in my 20s, where I was working 60 to 80 hour weeks and trying to make a lot of money. I was successful. I was making six figures by the age of 21, and I was giving all of that money to my mom. I was taking care of two households, and eventually it kind of led me to a breakdown. And that breakdown was the biggest blessing I had because of the role I played as a child. I felt like I had all the answers and I was in such control, and I needed to fall into depression and have my failed suicide attempts to realize clearly I haven't got everything figured out. And that opened me up to doing the work. And I met a coach, and that's when I started to realize like I have all of this spiritual foundation, but I didn't really line it up with like the psyche and the mind and how I had constructed this identity based on all of the things that happened in my childhood. I was like, well, if I'm alone, I can't trust anyone. And if no one is showing up, then I have to do everything. And all of these rules that I was operating in that were not sustainable, that led me to the breakdown. I got to see, wow, I have contributed to that. Instead of blaming my mom or blaming my siblings, I started looking within like, okay, well, if my outer world is a reflection of what's going on inside, I need to check what I'm contributing to produce these outcomes, because once I identify that, then I know what I need to do to interrupt the patterns and create a new outcome. And within a short period of time, I went from living in my car for 2 weeks, coming out of a suicide attempt, to growing a 7-figure business. And it wasn't really about the external pushing. It was more about me looking within. And every time I would break a pattern, I would see this change happen externally. It wasn't just financial. My relationships were getting better. I was feeling more confident and at peace. And I started realizing, wow, I just need to continuously focus on me and where my blockages are. And as long as I'm working through those, I'm just going to have a more abundant, more peaceful, more joyous life. And that's kind of the journey I've been on ever since I was 25. And 4 years into my business, I realized it wasn't my passion. And I was 30 years old. I had a moment of, who am I? What do I do? And I went to India to kind of cut off the world and realize that my business and everything was based around what I was doing for everyone else, as we spoke about. I was like, I don't even know who I am, what I want. So let me close down the business and just go and learn who I am and discover me. And I started traveling. And with the traveling, a lot of my friends would say to me, you should be a coach. And at the time, everyone was a coach. I was like, I do not want to join this train. As you know, it's like saying I'm going to sign up to be a used car salesman. I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to, it's just not the path I thought I was going to take. But I heard it enough that I kind of gave in. And when I gave in and I started working with people, I realized I have a gift of being able to hear patterns behind what people were saying and be able to get to the root of what was really producing the results that they were producing. And I didn't realize that I had a system for myself of being able to realize, oh, I'm triggered. What's happening? What am I making it mean? And how is this a pattern that's showing up? And I just, through working and coaching people, I started to systemize my way of interrupting my patterns and healing. And I started giving those tools to my clients, and that I was teaching them how to coach themselves. And that evolved. And I started realizing that the women that were gravitating to me were executives and entrepreneurs. And then when I looked further about a year and a half ago, they were all firstborn daughters. So they were either the only girl, the eldest girl, the youngest girl of boys. And so I was like, what is going on here? And I Googled firstborn daughter, and I realized that in 2024, they had released some research around eldest daughter syndrome. And the traits that they listed in that research were the same traits that all of the firstborn daughters I was working with had.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah. I thought, oh, maybe the role I played as a firstborn daughter has been training me to be able to support these women. And I'm sure there are other coaches and therapists out there who are very well placed to support these women. But that's now what I'm doing. I'm creating a network, an online community where they can grow their careers and businesses as a byproduct of healing themselves and the limitations and patterns that come from that birth order role that they've been playing.
That's amazing. Holy cow. Like, we should have started with this. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. There's so many things here, so many rabbit trails I could go down, but the one that jumped out at me the most was when you said, when you started working and helping provide for your mom and your family at 21, I think you said, early in your life, and that you said, I was successful and I was taking all that money and giving it to my mom. And, that hit me because we tend to see success as that, making the money and that kind of thing. But what you found out, what I found out, and by the way, I'm also a firstborn daughter.
I thought so.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Is that success doesn't always look like that. That doesn't have to be, and is really not supposed to be, the definition of success. Like, success is different for every person. But what you and I have found, because I have a similar journey of using my trauma, my pain, for my purpose, is that success is much different than just making money. And I love that you're helping women uncover their version of success.
Yeah, I think you said something earlier about focusing on yourself feels selfish. And I always say that it's self-full, because a lot of the times with firstborn daughters, because they're so concerned about being selfish, they give and they give from an empty cup. And then that empty cup, because they're not replenished, it becomes resentment, because they need something back, because you need to be able to replenish the energy that you're giving out. So when it's like, no one's doing anything for me, no one's grateful, no one, they need something from the other person. So then it doesn't become authentic giving. Whereas if you fill yourself up and you give from a self-full place, then you're giving from your overflow. And when you do that, you don't need anything back. It's the difference between someone who is living paycheck to paycheck, losing $5 versus a millionaire losing $5. They're going to feel it differently. So yeah, it's that whole process of healing for me was realizing I love showing up for everyone and I love giving to everyone, but I'm doing it from obligation. And when I take the time to focus on myself, I can show up so much more fully and give so much more with ease and without needing anything in return, because I don't need it. I'm good. I'm full. I don't, need it back. So that's definitely been one of the key parts of the journey. And yeah,
it's so powerful. My first book is called Finding My Hero Within. And because that's what the journey that I went through taught me, is that I was looking outside myself for all of these things, external validation and my self-worth and all these things. I was looking outside myself, and it was never enough. I was kept feeling from outside myself, and it was never enough. And it was when I learned that that knight in shining armor that I was waiting to come rescue me was found in my
True.
reflection in the mirror, had
Mhm.
been there the whole time,
Mm.
that's when my cup was filling and it felt like it was staying full. You know,
Beautiful.
it's like when you're filling your cup with external validation that there are holes in the bottom of the cup, like it just keeps draining out, draining out. But when you learn to that it comes from inside you, that it actually fills the cup and it stays full. And I love that you talked about that and that you do that because it's so important. You know, we hear the analogy all the time, especially every time we fly, about the mask, you know, the air mask. You put yours on first before you help anyone else. But I don't think we truly understand that until we have lived it and experienced it, and probably worked with someone like you that helped people do that because it's so,
Mhm.
so powerful. So
It
good.
is. I love that you say that. Like, I call the community the healed hero community because I believe that all firstborn daughter, firstly, anyone that has a firstborn daughter in their lives, luckiest people alive,
I
you know.
agree.
And it's just that I think a lot of firstborn daughters don't realize how special they are, and they are heroes for a lot of people. And when they're able to kind of look within and see that hero, that's when life really starts to blossom and get get exciting, you know. So yeah, I'm very passionate about that.
It's so true. And, you know, after I put that book out, people were saying to me, you know, well, we can't do everything for ourselves. Like we're not meant to do that in isolation. And I said, no, no, that's not what I meant. That what I found was that when I'm filling my own cup, when I'm becoming my own hero, then I become a better community member. I become a better employee. I become a better partner. You know, all of those things that until we have it first, we can't give it or share it with anyone else.
No,
And
and
it's very powerful.
yeah, and receiving includes receiving, learning to ask and receive from others around us, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you work the muscle of giving, it feels really awkward and scary and uncomfortable to firstly ask for help. It feels like a point of weakness, and then receive, which seems like it would be such an easy thing. But for people who are not used to receiving it, there's some level of discomfort. So part of that filling up is not only being the hero for yourself, but allowing yourself to know that, like, heroes have teams, you know, there's an ecosystem and a community, and we're tribal as beings. That's a natural way of being, to lean on the people around us and ask for help and allow people to show up for us. So it's all part of it.
You know, it's so true because I have just probably within the last year came to understand that I have really, you know, as a firstborn daughter, now that you're talking about it, I'm like, yes, this makes perfect sense to me. That
Mm-hmm.
I have operated in my masculine energy for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. Like I'm a go
Mm-hmm.
getter, I'm driven, I can get things done, I can make decisions, like I'm independent, but that's not healthy. Like I'm learning to embrace the feminine energy as well and allow them to balance each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it's one sided, like all of my relationships have failed. And I now know why. It's
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
was living so in that masculine energy,
yeah.
and we all have to learn to balance both of those, feminine and masculine.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's interesting because I always say that the hidden secret of a firstborn daughter is that they want to be taken care of, but yet
Mm.
they are so hyper independent and hyper masculine in terms of, like, they do instead of being and receiving, that they block any, like, potential of being taken care of. So that loosening and trying to get comfortable or initiate and receive it, it's so subtle and subconscious how the brain just kind of goes into go mode, that it takes a lot to kind of fight against yourself. It's almost like having an out of control dog and trying to train it to stay. Like the urge is just to do, you know. So it is, which is what Mexico has been for me. It's just the most feminine. It's on water, and everyone says that there's a palpable energy, and when I landed there during the pandemic, I felt my being relax, and I was like, this is good, but this is so strange. And in the last 5 years, it's just allowed me to deeply rest, and I don't know how to describe the level of replenishment that that place has given me, but I could see the difference in the level, even the feedback that I get from my siblings, like, you're so much more gentle, you're so much more soft. I'm like, oh, okay. It's nice to see that the work that has been done is being received, but it hasn't been easy. It's been like unlearning and retraining of natural instincts in order to break that pattern of taking care of everything all the time and being constantly on, and learning to just allow things to happen, which has changed the types of. I'm single, but I was engaged and I cancelled it 4 months before the wedding because, again, he would say to me, "You don't need me in this relationship. You're doing everything," and I didn't really see how that was an issue. I was like, "Oh, you should be happy," But it's like,
Yeah.
everyone wants to feel needed, and now I can see the difference in the type of men that are showing up. So it does make a huge difference.
That's so, man, that's so good. I got teary eyed when you said, the firstborn daughter's secret desire is to be taken care of or provided for. However you worded it, it hit my soul because I feel that. I do have that desire deep within me. And it's like, I don't know how to embrace it. I don't know how to shift to that because I've always taken care of everything
Mm.
and
Mm.
done all the things. So I love that. I don't think I understood that. Like, I'm having a realization right now of that. It's just really powerful. Gosh, thank you for
Of
sharing that.
course.
It's like I'm going to have to process that. I'm going to have to sit with that, like your mom did. I'm going to have to meditate on that,
Hmm. Hmm.
really, really dig down into that because, that those are the kind of men that are showing up for me too. And I'm like, it's not what I want. It's not what I'm looking for, but that's what apparently the energy that I'm giving out. So it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Life is just so funny how life always, always, in every single way reflects how we're showing up. So it's like it's great and it's beautiful that you can kind of see, like, I can feel that it's what I want, but I can't access it. And I can see that the men that are showing up are in alignment to the fact that I am the one that does everything. And I was so turned off when I ended it with my ex because I went on a date 3 years later. And he said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I run a recruitment business." He was like, "Oh, wonderful. I could be a stay-at-home dad." And I was like,
Oh gosh.
like, what is happening? That doesn't happen at all now because I've done so much
Oh,
work. But it's like with
yeah.
every day, I'm like looking in, like, what is going. So
Oh,
I think it doesn't the access to it doesn't happen like that. It's just those micro moments where you're looking at every single situation of like, did I show up in like attachment and control, or did I show up with openness? And was there an opportunity to ask for help? And did I ask for help? And did I allow
mm,
myself to not just receive the act as in it was done, but like really receive it and like allow myself to feel the act of service coming in so that I can train my nervous system to be okay with that sense of receiving. Those micro moments are what end up compounding, and you're just kind of like, oh, everyone just seems to be doing everything for me now. So yeah,
okay, that's what I'm looking for. No, just like, but
it's there for you.
right? No, it is exhausting. Like that's where I'm finding myself now. And I have said this before. Like I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired
Hmm.
of being. I've been strong long enough.
Hmm.
It's exhausting. I'm tired of being strong, and I'm ready for things to shift. And so this is really helpful for me, and I know it's helpful for those watching and listening too, because I know people feel this, but they don't understand what's going on. So the way you were able to dive deep into this and explain it so eloquently and in a simple way, I think it's going to help a lot of people. So
Good.
thank you so, so much.
No, it's a pleasure. That's the least, the bare minimum expectation is that I can add value in some form of way to your audience. And if that's been achieved in this dialogue, perfect. I'm happy.
Yeah. Is there, I want to be respectful of your time. I have loved this conversation. I feel like I need to sign up. Like, where do I sign up to be, like send me your information, that. But
My,
yeah, if
my,
you will share with people how they can get a hold of you, that'd be great.
Sure. So my website is healedhero.com. And on there, there's the services tab, there's a link to the membership, and there's an application form. I'm trying to curate the community so that it's like-minded women and everyone can get something from the coaching that everyone receives. I'm also on social media. I'm getting better at posting. I'm posting more on LinkedIn right now, but the intention is once I'm moved and I'm settled in Dubai, I'm going to kind of get on top of the social media stuff. And I know that posts around eldest daughter syndrome and firstborn daughters are going viral right now. So a lot of people are being seen, but I don't feel like there's too much practical steps in terms of what to do to actually start breaking these patterns and healing and creating new outcomes. So I'll be a lot more active on social media in the coming months.
That's so good. So do you only work with firstborn daughters, or that's just kind of how it's happened?
Firstborn daughters and parentified women. So women who
Okay.
took on a lot of responsibilities. It's the same type of traits. They're typically hyper independence, type A personality, perfectionist, all the things. And so it's like, okay, well, I want to work with those skill sets and in the group, because I think a lot of women are surprised because firstborn daughters are hyper independent. They want one on one, and then they join the group and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's like I'm listening to myself," and they realize how similar they are to the other women that are there. So I'm really wanting to encourage moving everyone into this group container, because something magical happens when a bunch of givers come together. Like if you're learning
Yes.
how to receive, this is the perfect space to do it because everyone wants to pour into everyone, So yeah, so firstborn daughters and parentified women who kind of see themselves in the same traits and patterns.
So good. Oh, I will be sure and include your links in the show notes for those of you watching and listening so that you can just click on it and get in touch very easily. Oh, this has been so good. Is there
Good.
anything that you want to share that we didn't cover before we wrap it up here?
Nothing that I want to share in terms of information, but there is one message that I leave. I think sometimes it's a struggle when I see people that are struggling. And I know that, like I was talking about the fact that I'm in a struggle right now and I know it's only temporary. And what I've learned from struggle is that in through our trials and tribulations, we it's an invitation to meet the part of us that we haven't discovered yet. And I think that perspective is always like, okay, I'm being stretched, that's why it's scary, and this is an opportunity for me to lean into it. The quicker I do, the quicker I surprise myself, the quicker I acquire new skills, the quicker I expand. So a lot of the times we stay in struggle because we're kind of braced and we're not wanting to shift and we're not wanting to change because we're so scared of what's on the other side. So I just wanted to share that to invite people to lean in, and just, you might be surprised at why, like, there's so many times we look back in hindsight and we're like, oh my gosh, I needed to go through that because that led to this, and that we can fast that track that process by just feeling the fear. It's scary, and just leaning in and trusting that I've always been okay and I will always be okay.
That's so good. I'm so glad you shared that. It is so true. Looking back, the dots start to connect. And once you learn to just embrace what's happening and not fight against it, it becomes a beautiful story that unfolds. But it's hard in the moment. It's not fun in the moment. But when you look
No.
back, you see it wasn't fun in that moment either, but it became something beautiful. So it gives us hope for what we're going through now that will eventually turn into something beautiful. So I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you. And
Yeah, it's a
thank you again
pleasure.
for being here. I'm just so, so grateful for you. I love the information that you shared, and it really is hitting my soul. Like, I just want to sit here and cry right now because it's
Oh.
so hitting my soul in such a great way. So thank
Well,
you.
sending you a virtual hug.
Oh, I'll take it. Thank you so much. Gosh. Well, for those of you watching and listening, thank you again for tuning in. Please share this so that we can get this message out to the world. And if you or someone you know would be a good guest for my podcast, please email me, amy@getamyshelp.com, or go to my website, getamyshelp.com. And until next time, I will be here holding space for you. Thank you for being here. And to my guest, thank you for your honesty, your courage, and your truth. It's an honor to hold space for people like you. If something in this episode stirred something in you, if you breathed deeper, softened, or felt a pull inward, consider this your invitation. Whether you're ready to share publicly or prefer to remain anonymous, I'd love to hold space for you too. This work isn't just for podcasts, it's for people everywhere. And I'm bringing it into businesses, schools, communities, organizations, anywhere humans need a place to be and for someone to hold space for them. To learn more or to schedule your own session or to be a guest on this podcast, visit www.getamyshelp.com or just reach out to me. I'll meet you with open arms and a quiet, sacred seat. Until next time, thank you for being beautifully, unapologetically human.